Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on Suicide Squad. I had a blast with this movie. Not a perfect movie by any stretch of the imagination, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And this is going to be a slightly spoilery discussion where I'm going to be talking about the things I loved about it, things that happened in it, as well as a couple of things here and there that I didn't really like or didn't really resonate with me. And but overall, the sort of gist is that I enjoyed the movie, and I can't wait to see more from these characters, especially if I get right into it right out of the gate. The thing that stole the movie for me was Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie, just being absolutely perfectly cast. It was just perfection. Robbie is gorgeous. She's hilarious. She can play dangerously psychotic, and she brings it all to the table in the form of Harley Quinn. Of course, this is a look for Harley Quinn that we haven't quite seen before, but we've seen similar things in the comics and such like that. But there is a moment where they flash back to one of the sequences between she and the Joker, where you actually see a very Alex Ross-esque, like mad love portrait, where she's in her original sort of duds, going back to the animated series and everything like that, the red and the black, the diamonds, all that kind of stuff, and he's decked out in like a tuxedo, and I was just like over the moon about that. I frickin' loved it. Again, she steals the picture every time she's on screen. I'm just loving it. It's like eyegasms, eargasms, everything she says and does in the film. There's a sequence, I'm sure a clip is online of it, where she's in an elevator and she's taken out the sort of monsters in the movie by herself, and then the rest of the squad meets her outside the elevator when it opens, and she's just like, what? Let's go, And she's perfect. She is absolutely perfect in this movie. Stemming off from there, of course, to talk more about Jared Leto's Joker, I think my biggest gripe about that is he's not in the movie enough for my taste. I wish we could have seen more of him. I wish we could have seen and heard more of his laughter. I hope that they will dedicate a movie, to the Joker, if not a Batman movie where he is the villain. Maybe a spin-off movie where it's all about Harley and Joker. I had watched a couple of days before seeing this film, the Assault on Arkham animated film, which is basically a Suicide Squad movie in the DCAU. And there are a lot of similar themes, as far as you have to make an example out of one of the squad members, blow his head off, so the other ones know you mean business. Amanda Waller, all that kind of stuff. Harley's in it. And the Joker is in it as well, and I think he's about in that movie as much as he is in this movie, and he's kind of just, deuces wild. He's unpredictable. He's there just to mess shit up, and throw down, and he wants his Harley back, and that's what he's really after. And the whole flashback sequence between Harley and Joker, we see how he created her, in a sense. We see Batman was after him, and that's how Harley got captured for Task Force X, all that kind of stuff. Not before, Joker drives his Lamborghini into the water and then makes his getaway. And then Batman has to knock her out, punching her in the face when she's stabbing at him and everything, underwater, I might add. And so we see that Batman is actually an integral piece of who, brought some of these members together. Another one is Deadshot. He is, it was Batman who got Deadshot captured. He was with his daughter shopping, whatever it was, and the Bat shows up. He wants to kill Batman, but the daughter's pleading with Deadshot, her father, don't. This is what's going to keep us apart for the rest of our lives. You need to stop being a criminal and all this kind of stuff. And so he lets it go, and he's captured. And Will Smith is Deadshot. He was pretty perfect as well. I think he did a bang-up job in this movie, making me feel for the character. And that's one of the things I have to say about all of the Task Force X members, the Suicide Squad members, that was a pleasant surprise to me. I knew I would like them to varying degrees. The ones I was most looking forward to seeing were Harley, of course, Joker, Katana. I love Katana, and she was all kinds of badass as well. Never speaks a word of English to my recollection. I think she's only speaking Japanese through the entire course of the movie, and you do get to see the soul sword and everything like that. But I think the most pleasantly surprising thing is that I loved all of the Suicide Squad members. You know, like Captain Boomerang, there's a scene where they're in a bar, probably the most talked about scene that I've heard people referencing as being one of their favorites. It's like downtime, and they're just kind of chilling, having drinks and everything. And you have Rick Flag come in and basically be like, you know, he smashes the device that all the explosives in their necks are attached to and says, you know, go your own way. I'm not going to force you to do this mission, the mission that they're on, going after this particular baddie. And Captain Boomerang, he immediately grabs his stuff and runs. But then in the very next scene, he's back with the squad, and I'm just thinking, well, he is a boomerang after all, you know? It always comes back to you. He came back to the squad and everything. Even though he took off running, boom, he's right back with them. And stuff like El Diablo and Killer Croc. In that very scene, Killer Croc, you know, Diablo is basically giving his history, the fact that he had slaughtered his own family out of rage because he couldn't control his flame-on power, this demonic power. And Harley's like, own that. You know, this is who you are. Be true to yourself. We're bad people. We're ugly on the inside. And there's a point where she's like, she looks at Croc and she's like, well, not Croc. He's ugly on the outside too. And then Croc turns around and he's like, I'm beautiful. You know, like, absolutely hilarious. The charm was a very pleasantly surprising thing for me. I didn't expect to love them all. Even Rick Flag. I mean, he's kind of the antagonist to a point. He's like, you know, Waller's got him by the balls, basically, because he was in a relationship with Dr. June Moon, who is also, you know, one sort of part of the Enchantress. The Enchantress, for, you know, again, I already gave spoiler warnings. She is the main baddie in the film, and this was answering a lot of speculations going into it. Conversations I had with some people, you know, before the movie came out, this was the largest speculation that she would prove to be the villain in the piece, and of course that turned out to be true. But because he, you know, had a relationship with the Dr. Moon side of things, Waller basically sends him in, and you know, we got to get this bitch back. Basically, we got to get her under wraps because she's trying to open a like interdimensional portal and take over the world. She's turning people into these goop monsters and stuff, which is all those black sort of bubbly creatures they're fighting and cutting the heads off of and everything like that, blowing up. And a lot of that is where I start to lose cohesion. Like, I felt a lot of it was a little bit predictable. It's stuff we've seen before. I mean, even down to the shot of the energy beam up in the sky and garbage in a circle, like a donut around it. I mean, it's calling out things like the original Ghostbusters, Man of Steel, Avengers, even the new Ghostbusters. And I think the only way they made it different in this movie was, you know, things didn't get sucked back into the portal when everything was said and done. But I felt for Rick Flag in his, you know, basically being between a rock and a hard place. He loves this woman. This woman is possessed and is the sort of corridor through which an ancient witch is coming through and trying to rule the world. And how can he stop her without, you know, necessarily having to kill her? And that's basically what you are made to assume is the case. And, you know, I mean, again, it borderlines certain predictable elements, and that's kind of where it fell a little bit flatter for me than I had hoped. You know, the villain of the film, basically, is what I'm saying. As well as some of the editing in the early going of the film was a little bit choppy for my taste. And it's like song after song after song. I loved all the music that you hear in this film. It's just one after the other when they're flashing back to how everyone got caught and everything. And I forgot to mention the Flash is in this sucker. He is the one who took down Boomerang and everything like that. That was an awesome, awesome cameo. And of course there's stuff, you know, a mid-credit scene, post-credit scene, whatever it is, that kind of sets up more directionally, you know, what will come in Justice League with Bruce Wayne, Amanda Waller, and all that kind of stuff. And Waller was awesome. Everybody cast in this film was awesome. You know, Slipknot, he was the guy they made the example out of, you know, calling back to that Assault on Arkham, you know, animated film. He's the one toe tag who's immediately, you know, taken out. And you kind of know because they don't spend any time giving him a flashback. How did he get caught? He just shows up. And I was really, really fearful the same was going to be for Katana because she just shows up. You know, you don't get any backstory with her really, other than what Rick Flag tells everybody about her. and I was so afraid she wasn't gonna, last the movie, but luckily she did. Everyone I loved in the movie survived it, and of course Joker breaks Harley out of Belle Reve at the end, and so it was a fun movie. It wasn't a perfect movie. I will definitely be very happy to own it on DVD, Blu-ray at some point, some venture in the future, and I hope more comes from this, is, sort of the end-all be-all thing I can say about it. Even if I had certain qualms about the editing and the villain of the piece, I loved the casting. I loved all the characters. They really played well off each other. I'd love to see another Suicide Squad, but I'd also love to see another movie focusing on Harley, Joker, all that kind of stuff, all that good stuff. And so yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. If you've seen Suicide Squad, if you enjoyed it as much as I did, if it was a pleasant surprise to you as much as it was me, in loving all of the characters working together and, all that kind of good stuff. And otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. So yeah, I hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.